lights are off. I'm flying through the hallway like a disco moth. Pitching to the couch, then I loop through the fan. My tiny whoop's grooving like a funky jam. I dip through the doorway, spin by the cat, bounce off the toaster, yeah, I meant to do that. Neighbors knocking, saying, what's that sound? It's my brush motor soul train getting down. Flying through the curtain, dancing on breeze, freestyle funk in my living room with ease. Tiny whoop magic, bumping every wall. I'm the James Brown of flight, can't stop it all. I got LED strobes and a shag rug trail. I'm looping through the lava lamp, leaving a tail. My whoop's got rhythm, my stick's got soul. I'm the pilot of the party, on a roll. TV remote's a gate, the lamps a dive. I'm flying like it's 7.5. No GPS, no rules, no shame, just a funky little quad in a soul train frame. Below, we fly that flow. Below, grab that gap. No time to nap. No time to nap. Hit that roll. Funk in control. Funk in control. Bounce that wall. Bounce that all. We fly it all. Funk it all. We fly it all. Tiny whoop love, funky and free. We fly indoors, we fly with glee. Whoop it, loop it, groove it, move it, bounce it, flip it, funk it, rip it, fly that soul, don't lose control. Tiny whoop love gonna make you whole. I thread the needle through the vinyl stacks, bounce off the mirror ball, never looking back. My quad's got soul, it's got style, it's got sass. It dips through the incense like a blast from the past. I'm flying figure eights through the lava lamp glow, dodging house plants like a funky pro. My whoop's got rhythm, my stick's got heat. I'm the pilot of the party with the grooviest beat. I loop through the hallway, I dive by the broom. I'm the disco ghost in your living room. I hit that split, it's over grandma's chair. She just claps and says, boy, you got flair. I'm flying freestyle with a velvet touch. My quad so smooth it don't need a clutch. From the shag rug to the ceiling fan, I'm the funky little fly with a master plan. The curtains dancing on the breeze, freestyle funk in my living room with ease. Tiny whoop magic bumping every wall. I'm the James Brown of flight, can't stop at all. Can't stop at all. Can't stop at all.
Greetings, my name's RCInPower. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Welcome to hell. Welcome to Friday Q&A. Castle Crash shirt. What do you want from me? Hold on, let me pause this. And you were just watching the Caillou Mini with... Hold on, we go unplug it. It's gonna make the computer so angry. Caillou Mini with RCinPower 1203, 11,500 kV motors. That is a lot of RPM for 2.5-inch props. The only propellers that really make sense with this high of a kV of motor are the... Ooh, that popped off of there. Are the GemFan 2512s, and they do fly really, really good. I wish there was a 2.5-inch biblade that was well balanced and somewhat durable, because that would be that would be a really good pairing with this motor. But alas, there is not. And so this is the one. These GemFan 2512s are the props. I don't know what happened. I have lost all of my 2.5-inch props. I have a few sets of them that are on these 2.5-inch rigs, but I've now spent the better part of like 20 minutes looking for my bags of low pitch 2.5-inch propellers, the GemFan 2520s, the HQ 2.5 by 1.9 by 3s, these GemFan 2512s. They're just all gone. They're all gone. I lost them. I'm sure that they're together somewhere. I'm sure that all three of those bags of props are in a spot that, when I put them there, made so much sense. But boy, am I having a hard time finding where the hell that spot is. Like, it's just maddening. Does anybody else have a hard time losing stuff, or is that just me? It just makes me want to absolutely jump off the roof. Kevin Sumner's first in the chat. Matthew Wagner was next. Sear, Fizz, Level Up, Frank Dr. Nicholas, Uriel, Ryan Sadat, Kevin Sumner again for the win. Fizz, thanks for hanging, friends. Nathan Wells, Uriel. You made it to the end of the week. Congratulations. So yeah, I got these RCinPower 1203s soldered up and put 2 batteries through them. And so we've got a little bit of DVR. We've got some onboard. We can talk about them. We can talk about the shrieking noise they make. Good God. When you start turning high RPM and making a half decent amount of power, yikes. I don't think these are... If you were to motor limit these down, I think they might be all right, but my God, at full Stankalotopus, the way they are right now, it is crazy. They just... I was flying from inside the front door, and it was loud. You could tell that it was loud out there. Also, I put a battery up on this yesterday, and yeah, I gotta play you some back-to-back flight footage of all these little 2.5s against a 3-inch build. This is, good Lord, you'll see. This was a nice reset of my of my sort of like barometer of power. And yeah, good Lord, these lightweight 2.5-inch setups are great fun, and I think that they are absolutely the safest and best way to just rail around your neighborhood. And I've been flying them a lot. And for whatever reason, like, the reason is I did the same, like, fly off to the right side of the street and then hammer the throttle on a fully charged battery. I usually only do that when I'm testing, and, like, I don't think I'd done that with this or any of the big power stuff. Like, I did it, and I, like, so I went full throttle, and then I had this moment of, like, whoa! Like, it just railed up into the air. Like, woo! Yeah, wild. And so you got to see it. It's such a difference with that. But, you know, that's like almost 3 times as heavy. Not quite. It's twice as heavy. 4S instead of 2S. What are these motors? 1405, or are they 1504? 1405 motors versus like 1203s. And I mean, so it makes sense, but here, hold on. I'm going to show it to you right now, because it's just madness. Where's the... Here it is. Is it still on this SD card? Let's see. Check this shit out. Hold on. Is that the one? Nope, that's not the one. So that's the Caillou Mini. Is this it? I can tell immediately. Nope, that ain't it. Is it this one? Might be this one. Here. I think this is it. Go, go, go. Come on. Yeah. There it is. Okay, so that's DJI 0004. Okay, so here is, so we're gonna ramp this up. I'm gonna show you Caillou Mini, which is like 110 or so grams all up, with T-Motor 1203 7000 kV motors with 2520 propellers, Gemfan 2520 propellers, which is like a mid pitch propeller. And then I'm gonna show you Caillou Mini with these way higher KV 1203s from RCinPower, 1203 11500 on less pitchy props. And then I'm gonna show you my frame on the 1405s. Ready? So, and I'm gonna show you the same move. All right, just watch the flight footage. Don't look at the OSD or anything, right? And so like, it's good power, lots of float, plenty of power, right? Skyrocket in flight, cool. Pulls 28 amps. All right, that's on the T-Motor 7000s. Here come the RCinPower 11500s on the less pitchy props. Whoop! More power. More power for sure. Sag the battery down. Whoa, 42 amps. Holy shit. Wow, okay. So that's a lot. All right, so definitely more power, but hurting the battery. Jesus. Look at this. Get a load of this. Get a load of this. Ready? I hadn't flown this in like a week or two. Look at the accelerate. Like, it just like leaps up into the sky. 62 amps. So yeah, that was crazy. That was just, it's these are great, don't get me wrong, but like, you know, you go up to like 200 plus grams and the difference is madness. In the chat, type at CiottiFPV to talk to me. Go over to CiottiFPV.com to see how you can support me. This is totally crowdfunded. No commercials, no bullshit, non-monetized, so that you guys, don't have to watch commercials and support me through Patreon rather than YouTube. YouTube takes like 30% of everything. Patreon takes a much smaller percent. Buy something from my Etsy store. I just put goggles 2, a fresh set of goggles. They're not brand new, but they're very low mile set of goggles 2 up on my Etsy store. I went to eBay and I filtered by completed auctions, and I priced it by what they're actually selling for on eBay, which I believe is $460, which is pretty close to what I paid for them. So yeah, I'm not selling them cheap because I didn't buy them cheap. And this ain't a charity. I gotta be able to afford to do this. And so, yeah, if you're looking for a cheap set of goggles too, keep looking. If you're looking for a good set of goggles too at a fair price, what they're selling for on eBay, there you go. Kevin Sumner says, nice shirt. Indeed. Ryan Sadat says, me. Ryan also says, something tells me you're going to end up settling on 1103 on this build. I 100% guarantee you that I will not. There is no chance whatsoever. Around 9 to 10,000 kV. All of the 11 width motors are a 1.5 millimeter motor shaft, and that's just way too weak. Any of these open prop builds, you want to get up onto a 12 something, 1202.5, 1203, 1204, something like that. Building these with any 11 or 10 series motors, all you're going to do is swap motors out, and that's not my deal. Striker says, hello, goat. Sear says, where and when did you find the 1203 11,500s? I was looking for those a few years back, settled on 1303 11,500s. I actually didn't buy these. Matthew Arose bought and sent me these very kindly. Are they... Can you not find them? RCinPower 1203 11,500 kV. Looks like Amazon's got Oh, yeah, they are a little hard to find. Doesn't look like they're in any of the U.S. It looked like GetFPV might have them. So looks like they're definitely on Banggood, but who the hell wants to order from there? Nope, these are 1202 and a half. Yeah, it looks like these are a little bit hard to find. Are these okay? Interesting. I sure do love reviewing a motor that nobody can buy. That's just awesome. I mean, looks like you can buy them, but you just got to get them from weird places. Hold on. Is this it? Hey! $89 for 4. Don't do that. Yikes. So it looks like it's either AliExpress or Banggood. If I settle on these motors, I'm gonna get them in red. I like this this red against silver. That looks really cool. Right now I have them in this purple and green, which is cool too, but so yeah, it looks like you're gonna have to get them from overseas. I wonder if, I mean, probably buy them from RCinPower. Does RCinPower have a store on their website? I don't know if I've ever been to their website. I've definitely been to their website. I recognize this. So if we search for 1203, what do we got? We got them. Can you order from here? Doesn't look like it. Does not look like it. That's annoying. So it looks like it's AliExpress or Banggood. 6,000, 8,000, 11,500. I think 8,000 would probably be. I don't know. The T motors are 7,000 kV, and they absolutely don't have enough power. Maybe the move is to get these 11,005s and then just motor limit them down, because I mean, there's a chance that going from 7,000 to 8,000 and going from T motor to RCinPower will get you enough power. I think 1203 is about where we want to be for this style of build. But okay, so there you go. Yeah, can't order directly from RCinPower. That's okay. But yeah, there you go. So RCinPower 1203 11,500s. Let's take a look at some DVR, and we'll see how the battery sag is. That first chunk of flight footage that played during the intro, I did not have a memory card in the camera, so that's all you got. This is the second one that had just started to play when the end of the intro song, when the intro song ended. Okay, so there's the 4.27. I was gonna say this battery is not fully charged, but no, it is. That's normal. So at a little bit of a cruise at 16% throttle, we are at 4.10 volts. That looks about right. And now here we go to 100% throttle. It immediately spikes to 36 amps. Good Lord. And then it looked like 42 amps was max. And so, I mean, that's fine. You know, that's only 10 amps per channel. But that's going to hit the battery. These have just an absolute ton of RPM. I can't wait to see what the actual RPM is. These feel really good. It's just, good God, with the low pitch props, they can unwind and make quite the screech. Very gray day here in northern Georgia. Oh God, the ground was the ground was lava because it was absolutely soaked from a big old rainstorm that came through here. And so I'm flying it pretty hard. Oh, also, I want to talk to you guys about 04 wide versus regular 04 light. I finally see it. I finally see why people hate the regular 04, and we're going to talk about why. I kind of know why now as well. and I'll kind of show you in some flight footage from yesterday. Look at it got like locked into the ground there. I don't know if I've ever had that happen and not crashed before, but what actually happened here is that it ground the shit out of the front props. That was the front props hitting the ground. The nose is down enough where on that first one it was the front arms, the front of the front arms. On this one though, this is the propellers hitting the ground and continuing to spin. You can see the PID loop freak out, right? So now the front propellers have hit and they're just spinning around, grinding themselves away. And you'll see a low battery warning. It drops all the way down to 3.38 volts because the PID loop is trying to keep me off the ground. Look, my throttle hasn't changed. I'm still 48% throttle. But the PID loop is freaking out, and now I finally realized what's happening, and now I did add throttle here. You see up at 86. But that was kind of cool. The PID loop keeping the hammer in the battery to keep the motors spinning all the way down to 3.35 volts. It saved me. Yeah, this felt great with these motors. It's interesting, like really low pitch props at really high RPM. I don't love it. You like, it doesn't want to go fast, but then you go full throttle and it just explodes. Like, it doesn't, the low pitch props, they don't like to cruise very fast. 48,000. So for the record, this battery is not fully discharged, but holy hand grenades, Batman. That is a shitload of RPM. So this is the first time that I've disarmed it on this battery, and so that 48,000 was that initial full throttle hit. And I think that's the highest RPM I've seen on anything other than like a tiny whoop. That's crazy. So minute and 38, what were we at? What were we kind of cruising at? 3.62, 3.63, 3.60. So yeah, we could have pretty easily gotten another 30 seconds out of this. I was flying this pretty hard though. And so I ran this battery down pretty good, but 48,000. So let's compare that. So that's 48,000 with 1203, 11,500 kV motors on really low pitch props. This flight file here is 1203 7,000s on 2520, 20 pitch props instead of 12 pitch props. So the propellers being more pitchy are going to drag these motors down, but these motors are so low kV that it really won't make that much of a difference. If I put these motors onto these same 2512s, they would probably turn very similar RPM to this. And so here's the first time I've disarmed, and so 32,008, so call it 33,000 kV. That's fairly low, right? 7,000 is a little bit low kV for this style of rig. Pitchier prop to make up for that, but we can't go super pitchy on the prop because the motors are still small. A 1203 on 2.5-inch propellers, you can't go with the motor is not physically big enough to handle a really pitchy propeller. You don't ever want a motor that's way too high kV or way too low of a kV. If the motor is way too low of a kV, the only hope that you have is to put a really heavy, really pitchy propeller on there. The size of the motor is not going to be able to handle that weight and drag of the propeller, but it is going to help a little bit at full throttle, but you're leaving performance on the table there. Then you've got mega high kV with a really, really, really low pitch prop so that you don't burn the battery to the ground. Same kind of deal. You're leaving performance on the table. That setup, that's what this is going to fly better though, because the size of the motor is really well matched for the lower pitch lightweight propellers. And so this setup absolutely flies better than when it was on the more pitchy props on the much lower KV motors. But I think this is still a bit much. And so, for the record, here's how I know the props have been filed down. This is one of the front props, and then this is one of the rear props. See how the front prop is like a bullnose now? The tips of those props have been worn down on the concrete during that. I think this one's even worse. Yeah, this one's even worse. Look at that. Look at the difference there. This is all grinded down. This is like a 2.3 inch prop now. So these front... What's funny is when you do that, the props stay balanced because they're spinning so fast that they're removing the same amount of material from each blade. But still, these two front props are shot. And so, yeah, I wish there was, like, maybe there is. What I'm going to be looking for is a 1203 10,000. I think that's the best bet. 11,500. Again, we could just motor limit it down, and we're not leaving. We're not losing much efficiency for motor limiting it down like to 90%. If you motor limit down to like 60 or 65%, yeah, sure, that's a bit much. But anything above like 80%, and it's fine. Normally, I would say that's a good thing. But, like, these are the lowest pitch propellers, and they're already making, like, it's already a bit much. And so, yeah. I will say this. This is the rig that I spent all that time putting these race wire LEDs on. Swapping these motors out took, like, 20 minutes because of the race. Like, it took me hours and hours to put these race wire LEDs on these itty-bitty little wires, on these itty-bitty little arms. But yeah, you do that with arm LEDs, with race wires. It's annoying as hell when you first do it, but then it saves you time forever. And so, like, if you're going to crash that rig really hard, or if you want to test a bunch of different motors, it's arguably worth it to do that. It's really fun that there's LEDs on the arms now that get brighter and darker as you go up and down the throttle. But this was a motherfucker. This is hard to do. The pads on these little Flywoo race wire LEDs are very close together, and the motor wires here are probably a little thicker of a gauge than these little race wire LEDs were meant for. Tiny's LEDs, TINYS LEDs, has little race wires that the pads are separated more. And so I would recommend you go with those. They are a little bit wider than these Caillou mini arms, and so I went with these absolutely absurdly small Flywoo ones to just keep them tucked in on the arms. It wouldn't have made a difference, but yeah. Good soldering practice is the best way to look at it. Mr. Clean says, AliExpress or a month or two ago. There you go. Nathan Wells says, what props do you have on your 3-inch rig in that video? Great question. These are HQ. I can't read anything anymore. These are HQ T3 by 2.5 by 3. Not the pitchiest 3-inch props, not the lowest pitch, somewhere in between. Very well balanced, relatively durable, really good choice. Yeah, good lord, this thing is an absolute animal. I love it. I really do love how this thing turned out. I think these motors are a little bit too big. I think the RCinPower 1404.5, they're called 1404 Plus, I believe, or the T-Motor 1404 4600s, or the Axis 1404s would be a better choice. I think these motors are a little bit too big, but I had them. I wanted to try them. I learned everything I need to know about them. So at some point here, I'll be trying some different motors on that guy. But we're still sort of focusing on these because these are much safer builds to fly around your neighborhood, and that matters. Sear says, so I'm guessing 1303 11,500 is too big of a motor for this type of build. Not necessarily. Let's take a look at the stator volume calculator here. So 1303 versus 1203. What? What's all that mean? 1203. That was weird. Versus 1204. And so 1203, the surface area here, this is how cool the motors will stay. The bigger number, the cooler they will run. All three of these are pretty close together. The volume is how much power they're going to make. And so you can see that the 1204s have the biggest volume by quite a bit. So the 1204s are going to make the most. 1303 is, well, look at that. These three motors step down 50 millimeters cubed almost practically each time. Not quite. This is a 60 mil step down, but yeah. I didn't realize that was such a stepped kind of thing. So 1203, 1303, 1204. For whatever reason, I thought 1303s were a lot closer in stator volume to 1204s. I think in the end, this build, so the Caillou Mini is the heaviest of the lightweight 2.5-inch frames. And so this Caillou Mini frame is going to end up on 3S on, I thought 1204s, but maybe not. Maybe 1303s. But I have a feeling it's going to end up on 1204s. On 3S, 1204s on 2S, they hit the battery too hard. We just saw this hit the battery awful hard, right? Like, that first punch out on a fully charged battery pulled this thing down to land now, didn't it? Yeah, it pulled it, oh god. It pulled it all the way down to 3.19 volts. And so that's probably a function of that's probably more because of the RPM, even though it's got low pitch props. Oh my god, 3.22. So yeah, fully charged battery. Jeez. And this is just a 1203. Here's where things get kind of interesting, right? If you have a motor that's too small for the KV and or the drag that the propellers are going to put on it, it'll do this. Like, it'll like sometimes, yeah, you can have a little bit of a mismatch where, like, if the KV is so high on the motor that it can't spin the props up there, you'll see it really sag the battery, but you won't get as much power as you should. And so you got to be careful with the really, really high KV motors, because then you're just, what's happening is electricity is turning into heat in those scenarios. And that's kind of why I think that 10,000 kV is going to be a much better number for us. But what's interesting is that if you go up to a bigger stator motor, so like in this case, if we go from 1203 to 1303, and we keep this same KV, it might not sag the battery any farther down, but it'll make more power, right? If the motor is too small, it's going to get too hot. And when the motor gets too hot, the magnets literally become less magnetic. And so, but they're still pulling the current from the battery. And so they turn that into heat, right? And it's like exponential. Like, if you've got a setup that can't keep itself as cool as it needs to, there's a good amount of loss at full throttle. So I still do think that 11,500 is a little bit too high, because on the lowest pitch tri-blades that are still well balanced and durable, this is what's happening. So I think that we've kind of found the RPM limit that we sort of want to be at. And it made good power, don't get me wrong. That was fine, but this low pitch of a propeller, it's going to cruise really slow. Probably a little bit slower than you want. And so, like, the mid-pitch propellers are a better bet. The Gemfan 2520, the HQT 2.5 by 1.9 by 3. You cannot pair those propellers with a motor that's this high of an RPM, though. And so that's where, like, an 8,000 or 9,000 or maybe even 10,000 kV motor is probably going to be a better bet here. These motors at 11,500, these would work on a 2-inch prop, to be honest. So if you wanted like a really beefy 2-inch build, these motors would work. But to be honest, do a 1202.5. The 1202.5 motors on the 2-inch builds make more than enough power. You don't need to go up to 1203. So these 1203s might be sort of in no man's land until we can find one at between 8 and 10,000 kV. The T-Motor 7000s that I just put on were great. They made really decent power. They never sagged the battery down to Chinatown, but they just didn't have quite enough power. And for me personally, and that was on the right propeller. That was on a 2520 or a 2.5 by 1.9 by 3. If I wanted to get more power out of those, well, when I wanted to get more power out of those, I put them on a more pitchy prop, the HQ T 2.5 by RT 2.5 by 2.2 by 3. That 2.2 pitch number is understated. Those props perform more like a 2.5 pitch. Like they're a pitchy prop. That combination, though, the more pitch the prop has, the heavier it is. It was too much for this small of a motor. It was too much for a 1203 stator. That heavy and draggy of a prop was begging for like a 1303 or a 1204 or something like that. And so there was a little bit of a mismatch there. And so, like, these T-Motor 1203 7000s are for folks that care more about efficiency than power. Or yeah, no, that's it. If not necessarily. If you're not super power hungry, these are a totally fine motor. There are some 8,000 kV 1203s though, and I think they're going to be a little bit of a better bet. I think this 7000 is almost more of a 3S motor. But yeah, showed a bunch of flight footage from these motors on the last couple of live streams. You can check it out and see if that looks like it's enough power for you. It felt great. It flew totally fine. But as an example, do I have the... I hope I have the DVR of this. Oh, no. Tell me I didn't delete it. Oh, no, here it is. So, here's my problem with these motors. I'll just let it play. Full throttle, great. Good throw, awesome. Okay. Now, in fairness, I waited pretty late to dig into full throttle. So I only really started raising, I'm slowly raising the throttle 39%, 43%, 46%, 50%, 56%. And like right around here is when I was like, oh shit, it's not catching itself. This was on the more, this was on the middle pitch props, the 2520s. And so it's not until right here where I'm like, oh shit, 65% throttle, 81% throttle, 100% throttle. And so this was the majority of this was was pilot error. But I do this a lot. I wait until I get really low to stab the throttle, and because like most of the builds that I fly have, I'm gonna say 7-to-1 power to weight ratio, maybe 8-to-1. They have an amount of power that I'm used to. On those lower KV T-Motor 1203 7000s, they didn't have enough. It didn't have enough power for what I was expecting. And one of the best things that you can do to get better as a pilot is to either fly the same exact thing over and over and over and over and over again, or at the very least, build all of your stuff to have very similar power to weight ratios, weight to prop size ratios, all the things that we always talk about, right? And yeah, those T-Motor 1203s just, they don't have it. They don't have a big enough stator to handle the heavier, more pitchy propellers to offset the KV. And so it's a motor for either 3S or for folks that want more efficiency. I had a blast flying them around, but when stuff like that happens, it's like, yep, that is like proof positive that the motor just doesn't make enough power. And so those, I'm glad that we got to test these motors, but they're not going back on. Maybe they'll go back on something that's 3S, but they're not going on something that's 2S. These RCinPowers are the complete ass opposite end of the spectrum, where they're actually too high of a KV, even on the lowest pitch props. So this is perfect. Like I'm so appreciative that Mataros sent over specifically these two motors, because they represent the top and the bottom of where we want to be. These RCinPowers, you could just motor limit down, and that, I think that's what I'm going to do next. I think the next thing I'm going to do is put these on like a 90% motor limit. What's that work out to? So if we do 11,500 times 0.9, so that brings them down to the equivalent of 10,350 kV, which is kind of perfect, I think. So yeah, 90% motor limit, and again, a 90% motor limit is not so much that you're going to lose a noticeable amount of efficiency. It's kind of just right, and like, I think we should always try to buy motors that we have to motor limit down to around 90 or 95% motor limiting, because then we have a little bit of leeway. We can literally go into our OSD and turn the power up, right? If you're trying to squeak out every last second of runtime, you don't want to do that. But it's really, really nice to have a motor that's slightly too high of a KV. I didn't realize that a 90% motor limit would bring these down to 10 something. I thought they would still be a little bit higher than that. Yeah, these might be the ones. These might be the perfect motors for this. If it's a super windy day, or if something weird's happening and I need all the power in the world that I can get, I can turn it up to 100% and away we go. But yeah, at 100%, this is a bit much. It forces you to run these really, really, really low pitch props, and it just makes a hell of a racket, because it's just, it's not the volume, it's the pitch, right? Like when you get something that's really high KV, it makes that really shrill scream that's like piercing and makes people go like, ugh, and that's what pisses your neighbors off, right? And so don't do that, in my opinion. But what is nice about this setup right now is the response time. Having the lowest pitch propeller with a really high KV motor gives you really good response time. Having a much lower KV motor with a much pitchier prop is the opposite. That's the biggest problem with a motor that's too low of a KV, is you really take a beating on response time. So yeah, 04 light versus Flywoo wide and or probably now the run clam run cam slash DJI 04 wide. Typically, I fly these things fairly sedate and fairly chill, which is completely fine, and arguably that's how you want to fly around your neighborhood, right? You don't want to bash into your neighbor's house or car or face at 50 miles an hour versus like 20 miles an hour. And so I do think that the way to fly these things around your neighborhood is a little bit more chill, not like pants on fire. I've got something to prove. I'm going to have the biggest e-dick on earth. Everybody's going to watch my videos. Nobody's going to watch your videos. Nobody watches my videos. Why would they watch yours? So get that out of your head. Philip with a $5 super chat. He says 5 for the light. Thank you, brother. And so, yeah, I do think that it makes more sense to kind of fly these things chill. And when you fly these things chill, I don't notice. I mean, I notice the difference between the wide and the non-wide, but the non-wide doesn't bother me. Now that I've been bouncing back and forth between the wide and the not wide on two very similar builds, I get it. I get it. Especially, I had started to kind of figure this out, and then yesterday, for whatever reason, I was like, I'm going to fly these things really hard today. And when flying them really, really hard, I definitely noticed it. Which makes sense, right? You bring your field of view down, and now you have less vertical field of view. And so why that really matters is that when you fly fast, you got to put the nose down. And so that vertical field of view becomes really important. And you can actually see me, you can see the struggle. Ready? So this is the baby turtle. Sorry, not baby turtle. This is the Bando Turtle 2.5. 1202 2.5 motors. You won't see the struggle yet. You'll see the struggle in a minute. 1202 2.5, 10,000 kV on these same propellers, 2520. This is like 12 grams lighter. And so look, all right, so it's already starting to happen. I'm having to make more corrections. Look, correction. It's looking kind of janky, right? Like usually when I fly, it looks a lot smoother than this. Look at that. Look at the struggle that I'm having just in here. Like, and yes, a part of this is because I'm just adjusting from one rig to the next, but that doesn't happen on the wider angle stuff. You could argue that this rig just needs more up tilt, and you wouldn't necessarily be wrong, but I don't want more up tilt because I want to be able to fly the thing slow. But yeah, in those couple of moments there, I was like, okay, got it. Even there, like that was more, I couldn't see the drop, but still, two super similar rigs, but just with pretty different fields of view. And boy, I had a tough time in that first like minute or so getting used to this. From what I remember, I did start getting used to it. This bobbling around, I was doing a black box log here. So that's all this is. But in a second, you'll see the OSD pop back up, and then I'll be done logging. Should be right around here. And I'll just start flying again. And so, like, by this point, I've gotten a little bit more used to this, and it kind of felt fine. But it was that first minute of adjustment, and the fact that, like, over the past week or so, flying two really almost identical rigs with both cameras, I've definitely started to figure it out. But look, now I'm flying a lot more chill. I'm flying a little bit slower, and we're fine. We did the big power loop, diving down on the house, and I've gotten used to it. But can you tell that I've kind of slowed down? Like I just specifically slowed my movements down, slowed my sticks down, and now it's completely fine. The other thing that doesn't help is how all of these smaller censored cameras have a harder time with dynamic range, and so the darks are darker and the brights are brighter. And so with the smaller field of view camera, when you're up high and it exposes for the sky, and then you look down and it has to open up to give you any detail on the ground, you're flying blind for a second. And with the wide angle camera, the wider field of view will at least have a little bit of the ground in view at like all times, so it won't totally expose for the sky. And so I think that matters as well. Like right here, this is a perfect example. This is a perfect example right here. So the sky is almost completely blown out, and then these trees are almost completely black. Like, this is what a small censored camera does. There's no getting around this. ND filters do absolutely nothing for this. This is a dynamic range problem. You can't fix this. The way to fix this is to get a much bigger censored camera, and those are a lot heavier and yada, yada, yada. But yeah, there it is. I mean, like, those trees are just black. There's no detail in those trees before I threw up over it. Threw up. So, yeah, I get it. By this point, I'm doing everything that I normally do. I'm used to it. I'm flying a little bit slower. That's completely fine. But with the Flywoo wide, and I'm sure the DJI wide will be the same, it makes it easier to fly a wider range of speed. With the regular 04 light, your window of like as fast as you can comfortably fly to hovering is a little bit more narrow. With the wide angle, well, almost stopped is going to stay here. With the wide angle, it's going to do this. You're going to be able to fly faster, more comfortably, mainly from the vertical field of view, to be honest. But yeah, that matters. And so, two things. Those of you that were saying that the 04 light is unflyable, you're a little bit more right, but you're still not right. It is totally flyable. You just have to adjust a little bit, and that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. And two, understand that going in. Like the 04, the regular 04 light, I really like it. And like for subject driven flying or cinematic flying, for subject driven flying, it's definitely better because it's zoomed in more. And so you don't have to get as close to your subject. For cinematic flying, it doesn't have the fisheye, which is really nice. It's way more linear. And so from like a cinematic perspective, yes, it's better. But like cinematic flying, the lines get blurred between that and freestyle. And some cinematic flying, you're going really fast. And so like if you're going really fast, you might actually want the wide angle setup, but there's other problems with that, right? Namely the fisheye. So yeah, you just need to kind of like understand that. Like what do you want to do with the build that you're putting the camera on? If it's pure freestyle, the wides are the way to go. Hands down. Can you freestyle the regular 04 light? Absolutely. I have been for, over a year. But you're a little bit more limited in going really fast, basically, is where you start to notice it. But there are some other advantages. So like, this whole like, oh, the 04 light is worthless. Like, these are people that don't know what they're talking about. They only fly really fast freestyle, or they're just not good enough to be able to adjust. To be honest, like learning to adjust to changes to your builds is something that takes years. It's not something that you pick up within your first 6 months of flying. It's a skill that comes through thousands of batteries, not hundreds of batteries. And so and some people are not willing to do that, right? Some people just get too frustrated and they're like, no, I either want to be good or I'm not going to fly at all. Um, and I'm not willing to put the time in to get good. And you know, I mean, that's a shame because there's lots of other stuff out there, but you do you, friends. So yeah, but I will definitely say that there was a while where I would switch between the two and I'd be like, I can barely notice. I can definitely notice now. And I've finally had a moment of like, oh my God, you know, I flew the wide really hard, really fast. And then I tried to do the same thing on this. And it was like, ooh, this is, you know, for like that first full minute, it was uncomfortable. So yeah, I'm glad to finally kind of, be enlightened. Skesic says the Happy Model 1103 has a 1.5 millimeter shaft. Does it really? Happy Model 1103. Let's see. I think that's these, right? Or is this the 1202 and a half? Nope, these are the 1103s. I'm pretty sure I measured these and they didn't. Oh no, yeah, 1.5. I'm sorry, I think I misspoke earlier. I meant to say 2. If I said 1.5, 1.5 millimeters earlier, I apologize. I meant to say 2 millimeters. When you get to a 12 millimeter wide motor below the bell, the motor shaft is 2 millimeters thick rather than 1.5. Sorry. I probably misspoke on that earlier. Because yeah, the Happy Model 1103s do indeed have a 1.5 millimeter motor shaft down below the bell, above the bell as well. But on rigs like these, you will bend that motor shaft every like 2 or 3 hard crashes, and that's just stupid. Like that's a build that all you do is fix it. And those builds do not get flown much after the first like month because you get sick and tired of constantly replacing motors on them. This is one of the main complaints about micros in general. Why most pilots don't fly micros. Like pretty much all of the pilots that strictly fly 5-inch rigs, if you really talk to them about it, and if they've actually given micros a chance, what they will all say is they just got sick of fixing them all the time, and they're just not durable. They can be durable, but you have to run the right gear on them. Same thing with 5-inch rigs, right? Like 5-inch rigs don't have to be durable. You can certainly build the most fragile 5-inch rig in the world if you pick the wrong components. If you pick the right components, you can have a basher. And so, yeah, it's no different. Sear says, I was thinking it would be a better motor for higher pitched props, might be more amp hungry and sag hard. What are we talking about here? 1303. Yeah, so 1303 is going to be a little bit better than 1203, but not quite as good as 1204. 1303 might be it might be the best middle ground. If it seems to me like these 1203s are, for me, are just a little bit too small. And 1303 is that in-between step up. The 1204 is definitely too big, and it hammered the living hell out of these batteries. 3S is going to be the solution that I go with on this. The problem with 1303 is it's going to hit the battery pretty hard as well. And so what I'm really dying to try right now is a 90% throttle limit on this. Well, you know what? That's easy. We can just math this, can't we? We can just go like this and then take 3.19 volts and just maths it. What? 3.19 times basically 1.1, I think. And so with a 90% throttle limit, I believe it's only going to drag the battery down to 3.5, which is a little low, but it's not that bad. So yeah, maybe these 1203s are the way to go. What I can tell you for sure is that 11,500 kV is too much. So if you end up with that high of a kV of a motor, throw a motor limit on there. Throw a 90% motor limit on there, regardless if it's a 1203 or a 1303 or a 1204 or whatever. Because yeah, you're just gonna hurt your batteries. And like when it pulls the battery down to that low of a voltage, the voltage going to the motors is that low. And so the motors don't make more power, right? Like that's the thing. If you've got like a really high kV motor and then like a just regularly high kV motor, the really overly high kV motor is going to pull the battery voltage so far down that it can't make more power, right? There's only a certain amount of power that the battery can push through the system into the propellers, into the and then into thrust. And so yeah, having a motor that's absolutely mega high kV has a lot of issues. Uriel says, I think it's not necessary to have the most powerful motors to fly with fun. I agree, brother. The less powerful the motor, the better throttle resolution you've got. And that tends to make your flight footage look better. And for me, that tends to be more fun. Being able to get really close to stuff is super fun. And if like when you move the throttle the minimum amount that you can possibly move it, and the quad goes from this to like this, you're not gonna be able to get close to anything. And so you're just gonna like keep your distance from everything, and like, yeah, sure, you're gonna be able to hurtle yourself into the heavens, but like that gets kind of old pretty quick. So yeah, less power, the better. But there is a point where not enough power has you smashing into the grass at the bottom of a dive that you were pretty comfortable catching, right? On another rig. And so you've got to find that window of power that you like the best and just try to build all your stuff to stay within there. WKFPV says, after flying the baby turtle and the Caillou Mini, what's your verdict? Is it worth keeping? Is it worth it to keep waiting for the Caillou Mini to be in stock? No. There's nothing that the Caillou Mini does any better than any of the sub 250G rigs. And to be really honest, the Caillou Mini, the way that the camera sits and blocks the front of the battery tray, it makes it so that you can't put big batteries on here. Like the biggest battery you can put on here before it hangs way too far off the back is a 2S450. On the Bando Turtle, this whole top plate is all clear. And so you can put a much bigger battery on here. You can put a 550, probably even like a 650 on this. So I would actually, between these two, I would choose this. That being said, they're both great frames. And like, you won't go wrong with either one. There are tons of 3D... I will say this. The only thing that scares me a little bit about the sub 250G FPV frames right now is that Philip, the guy that is sub 250G FPV, has kind of disappeared. And so there's a chance that it'll become a little bit harder to get the 3D prints for this. But realistically, these are all popular enough where someone out there... So like the DJI wide camera, for example. There is a Flywoo wide 3D print that someone made for this already, and it's not Philip. It's just somebody random on Thingiverse. And so that same person or somebody else will almost certainly make a file for the slightly larger DJI wide. But like down the road, you know, a year from now when there's 4 or 5 other new cameras, like it's nice when the designer of the frame is still active to keep making stuff. If anybody has any idea on what's going on with Philip, please let me know, because I was talking to him a whole bunch before he disappeared, and he seemed like a really cool guy. Yeah, I'm just a little freaked out that something bad might have happened, because like it just stopped. Like at some point in April, all communication that I had with him, all posts on all of his Instagram channels just stopped cold. And that's scary. So yeah, I hope he's okay. But yeah, close your eyes and point, and you'll be totally fine. The Caillou Mini is not in stock, so get these. They're fine. They're great. There's actually some things that I like better about this. The top battery tray we just talked about. Also, the arms are shorter. They put these almost like gussets, kind of. That's not really a gusset, but they put these little supports in here, and so the actual length of the arm here is a lot shorter versus the Caillou Mini, which is like a traditional style with a big long arm. And so, like, you know, there's a lot of leverage on this point, right where this arm meets up with the body here. That's gonna break. I've seen a bunch of these frames broken, and they break at that point. I do, admittedly, from like a frame design perspective, I do wish that this arm was thicker here than it is out here, because the leverage loads up, right? As the lever gets longer and longer and longer, it deals with more force the farther away you go from the point of impact. And so, yeah, on my frame, for example, not to self-plug or anything, you can see it in the carbon fiber weave here. Well, you can probably see it on the bottom too. And so this side is straight, right? See the weave? The weave stays pretty much straight, but this back side, this front side actually, you can see there is no weave here, but then we pick up some weave here. It's thicker. It's thicker down here at the base of the arm than it is out here. And you know, in terms of like frame design, that's just sort of like a best practice. The argument is that when you let the arm be the same thickness all the way down, the arm always breaks here. And you do kind of want the arm to break here, but if you make it a little bit thicker here, you're adding very little extra weight, and you get a big change in strength. It becomes a lot stronger because that's the point where it breaks. And so usually you at least want to taper the arm a little bit, which is what Ryan did with my frame. The Baby Turtle, the arm is so short. Sorry, this isn't the Baby Turtle. This is the Bando Turtle, 2.5. The arm is so short here that like there's so much less leverage. It's just going to take a lot more abuse. Also, this is significantly lighter. Even though these arms are going to be a lot stronger, this is actually a significantly lighter build than this by like 12 grams. Yes, this is on 1202.5s and this is on 1203s, but still, the difference in the motor weight is insignificant. Also, yes, this is on the regular 04 light. This is on the Flywoo wide. That's another 2 grams, but there's like, I think there's like a 7 or 8 gram difference in just the builds between these two frames. So yeah, you can't go wrong with either one, to be super honest, but they're both great. They're both great. Don't wait for the Caillou Mini because you think it's going to be better. Wait for the Caillou Mini because that's what you want, and that's totally fine. If that's the frame that you want, if you want to be a part of that Caillou Mini community, I get it. There's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, it's not a better frame. It's just a different frame. Nathan Wales says, I'm new at flying 3-inch 4S. I just tried GemFan 3052s on 175 gram rate S30 Pro with 1505. Jesus, that's really light. Is that the dry? That must be the dry weight. 1505 3800 flies beautifully, flying with a 100 gram 4S R-Line 850. It's actually pretty quiet. When you're out of the throttle, it's quiet, but when you dig into the throttle, yeah, they make some noise. The GemFan 3052s are some of my favorite 3-inch props. They're well balanced. They're pitchy. They're pretty strong. We don't have like a standout 3-inch prop that's just better than the rest. And so there's the GemFan, the best 3-inch props are the GemFan 3052s, the HQ T3 by 2.5 by 3, and just those two. Just run those two. Those are the two good 3-inch props. And yeah, when you're just chilling, flying around normally, they are no louder than any of the other ones. But boy, you go full throttle and they sing, yo. Dave says, does this combo make sense? 1204 5000 kV with 4S 2.5 inch prop with 04 air flight controller is kind of heavy also. Oh, with 04. What's 04 Air FC? 04 Air FC. With 04 Air FC. What's that mean, Daves? Here's how you figure that out. Instead of me just answering, I'm going to show you how to figure that out. So I should just leave the calculator up tonight. So 1204, that's fine. 5000 kV on 4S. Here's how we figure this out. Ready? It's super easy. You're going to love my nuts. 5000 kV. So here's what we want to do. We want to convert 4S to 2S because we've really started to figure 2S out, right? So we take 5000 to go from 4S to 2S. We take the kV of the motor and we basically double it. So 5000 times 2 is 10,000. And so like the equivalent motor to get the same RPM actually on a 4S 5000 kV motor. If you were to run that on 2S, you would need a 10,000 kV motor. And so as we've been talking about with these, 10,000 seems like it's about the right number. Here's the thing though. With when you go up in voltage, up to a certain point, you gain efficiency. And so you can run an even higher kV motor. And so, for example, instead of a 5000 kV motor, you could probably really easily get away with a 6000 kV motor because of how much efficiency you're getting from the higher voltage. If you don't want that extra power, then don't do that. But you can always just motor limit it down, right? And so I think from just having built a lot of 3-inch, 2.5-inch, 2-inch rigs over the last decade, my normal recommendation for a 2.5-inch build on 4S is a 6000 kV motor. 5000 will absolutely be fine, and you'll have great. Well, and here's the other thing that happens too is when you go up in voltage, you go up in weight. And so a lot of times when that happens, you want more RPM. You want more power to offset that change in weight. You will not be able to build a 4S setup that's as light as these 2S setups. The batteries don't exist. I'm running these 2S setups on a 450 mAh 2S battery. To get the same weight on a 4S battery, you would have to have that 450 mAh. So 225. There are no 225 mAh 4S batteries. The smallest you're going to find, I think, is 380 mAh. You might be able to find a 350 mAh, but nothing as low as 225. So a 4S version of this build is going to be significantly heavier, and then you're going to want the extra RPM and power to make up for that. Does that make sense? That's how you figure it out. I kind of gave you the answer, but I also hopefully walked you through how to figure that stuff out. Jamie Flies FPV is in the house. Speaking of Jamie Flies FPV, so we've been struggling with 04 light gyro data. The gyro on the 04 light is a very high runs at a very high like recycle rate. Instead of 4,000 cycles a second, it looks like it's running up at like 16 or 24. Really high loop time. When you do that, as those of us that have been to in an FPV forever, when you do that on quads, the gyro is less able to deal with hard vibrations. And what can happen is like clipping or aliasing, where basically the gyro is able to log properly, but then if you shake too hard, the gyro can't keep up and it clips and it gives bad data. Like if you take a gyro and you shake it up and down like this, all right, there's a certain point, there's a certain G-force value that will max it out. And so the line is going to look like this. So I'm going to start shaking it, and then I'm going to shake it harder and harder and harder. And so the line is going to do this, and then it's going to go more, and then eventually it's going to hit the limit. And the limit for this live stream is the top of the screen. And so when it goes off that limit, we don't have any data. And so when that happens, that's bad data. It just flatlines. And so you've got nice squiggles, but then you've got a harsh flat line with no data. When GyroFlow gets a hold of that, it doesn't know what the hell to do, right? Because like all was cool, it was stabilizing, and now it's got useless data, and so it's going to do weird shit. And that's what we've been seeing on the 04 Lights. Unfortunately, that's now what we're seeing on the 04 Pros as well, because DJI has changed the gyro in the 04 Pros this year. And so cavemen like me hit the quad with a club and try to like do better balanced propellers and like throttle limits and all kinds of stupid stuff. Intelligent people like Jamie Flies FPV write a piece of software. Jamie, are you okay with me talking about this? You and I talked about this in DMs. I posted what you're working on without any details in my Discord, but okay, cool. What Jamie has done is write a piece of software that takes the flight footage and the gyro data buried in the flight footage, looks for the bad data, looks for that shit, and what are you doing? Are you clipping it out, or are you just rounding it off? It fixes it. It fixes the gyro data. I guess this doesn't matter what's happening, because she's got this software that she's written that is fixing it, estimating. Very cool. So and that makes sense, right? Because it's all sinusoidal. It's all waves. And so you clip the top of the wave off, and then you just wait for the wave to come back down, and so you just draw that up there, right? Hopefully it didn't like skyrocket off the top and then stay off the top forever and then skyrocket back down. The bigger that is, the harder it's going to be to estimate that. But actually it does, well, yeah, so if you estimate it wrong, the stabilization is going to get a little wonky, and instead of being absolutely perfectly stabilized, it's just going to be off a little bit. But that is 1,000 times better than what happens now, which is that the stabilization goes and just like shake. It looks absurd, right? And so if it estimates it perfectly, yeah, all right, you'll never even know that it happened. But just any estimation whatsoever of this bad data is going to make the end result 1,000 times better. And yeah, she ran some of that Haystack Rock Portland footage of mine through it, and good to go, perfectly smooth. Over on my Discord in General Nonsense, I think also in Patron Hangout, is a teaser video of it working staggeringly well. And yeah, thank you, Jamie. Very, very cool. So this could be, and I think I also saw somebody say that GyroFlow might be able to build this right in. And so we just never have to think about it again, because it'll just figure it out. I think that would make the most sense, right? Like for GyroFlow, whenever, like if there's ever obviously, if the gyro data ever obviously goes, you just estimate that. You take out that like knee. I guess it's not a knee, but it's a drastic change in the signal, and then you just smooth it. Kind of similar to RC smoothing, right? Our receiver packets come in steps, and then Betaflight smooths that out with the amount of RC smoothing that you have. So yeah, there could be a really nice fix for all of this weird shit that we've been dealing with this year. DJI should be paying Gyroflow for that. Because, like, there's a thread on the DJI forum about these issues, and Brandon's Baked Beans sounded off in there, and there's a couple other really smart folks who have, it seems like they've figured out that it's a problem that DJI could fix. It seems like the filtering, I believe it's the filtering, the gyro filtering is not optimized for the higher loop rate gyro. All of the gyro filtering is designed for 8K, 8,000 cycles per second. And the gyro that's in the 04 Lite and now in the 04 Pro is much higher than that. And so a bunch of these guys seem to think that if, and it's I think it's a hardware filter. And so a bunch of smart sounding folks seem to think that if DJI fixes that hardware filtering, it'll fix this issue. I don't care who fixes it, as long as somebody fixes it, because the workarounds are not great. What's funny is the workaround is to not use the gyro data and just use the optical flow stabilization, which works like really, really good. And the reason that it works is that the optical flow stabilization is based on the image moving around, and the image is the image. The image never like immediately spikes in one direction or the other. And so like it's kind of funny. Our band-aid for the problem has been, you know, just go with like smoothing basically. So yeah, really cool stuff. Really, really, really cool stuff. Jimmy says, thank you, working on it all day. That's why everyone said just put a 5 hertz low pass filter on it, but that kills the real gyro info. Yep. My guess is it's an issue. Yeah, everybody seems to think that it's an aliasing issue. That's hard to say. But yeah, either and I'll betcha then in the next firmware update for the 04 Pro and the 04 Lite, I'll betcha DJI does something about it. But it would also be phenomenal if Gyroflow does something about it, and or if we can get our hands on this software that Jamie is working on. Yeah, we'll have many ways of kind of dealing with this so that we can get full-blown Gyroflow out of silly little kids' toys, right? So yeah. Oh, hey, also the 5-inch the battery that I flew on this was a 10-year-old GNB 4S 550. Little bit light, and that's one of the reasons that it sagged so hard. But still, this thing, even on these big giant motors, actually flew really decent on this. I think this is about as small of a battery as I would recommend for my frame. It fits really nice. And so yeah, I've been meaning to test smaller batteries. I've been running 850 mAh batteries on this, and they seemed like they were a little bit too heavy. I mean, it depends on who you ask, but yeah, I don't know if you can get this size cell anymore, but this is a 550 mAh 4S on my little frame here. So yeah, that was cool. I was pretty happy with how this flew. Again, these motors are too big. 1405 is too big of a motor. If this was on 1404s, this battery I think would be absolutely perfect. So yeah, 3-inch builds are typically best between 450 and 850 on a 4S battery. Do we have enough time? I wanted to do a little bit of work on this tiny whoop over. I think we have enough time. Let's go for it. So we have a Newbie Drone Hummingbird Race V2. And I had to swap the frame, and I also want to swap the camera out. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm going to see if I can throw the camera on this, do a quick beta flight setup, and then our 6 batteries that we're all going to fly today because we all want to be better pilots, and the only way to do that is to fly at least 6 batteries every single day, are going to be on this rig. And so I just happen to have a BI sitting on the desk in a Bri-Brain mount, and so I'm just going to throw this camera and mount at it, slam this thing together, get the motors spinning in the right direction in beta flight, and then we're going to do a little bit of Hummingbird Race V2ing here today. I do need one more of these screws. I moved the frame that the light AF frame that this was in was bent all out around, and so I've swapped over to an Air 65 V2 Champion Edition frame, which I actually like better than the light AF. So let's get this. I find it to be a lot easier to put the screws into these Bri-Brain canopies off the quad like that, and then to kind of drop it down, because otherwise it's a real pain in the ass to get everything connected at once. So get that going. All right, just get like one rotation on there, and then this guy here, just feed it through. This Bri-Brain mount printed really nice. The holes are perfectly clear. Sometimes when the TPU is being a little bit of a jerk, the little holes in this are not quite as clean, and that's what causes the problems, but this is actually fine. All right, so let's get these tightened down. And I'm actually going to show you guys how to do a diff. I know I usually don't do this because this can cause some serious problems, but if you've got 2 completely identical setups and you just want them to be exactly the same, or so here's what's happening here. I have a Hummingbird Race V2, exact same AIO, same motors, same everything, that I've been flying for a while. And now this one is on defaults. That's a scenario where you can absolutely use the diff to transfer from one to the other without causing any problems. Unless the one is all beat up and you've got it tuned for the fact that it's all beat up. Then you're going to be leaving some performance on the table. But, like, you should know that. You should understand that and know that, like, okay, the fresh one, I'll be able to tune a little bit further. I'm a dumb person. This camera has the wrong plug on it. Okay. Hang on. The reason this camera was sitting on the desk is that I put the plug for a 2G4 on it. And this is from back when I was testing cameras. And so this ain't going to work. All right, I'm going to actually... This is a good thing. The Hummingbird Race V2 comes with the sort of new Newbie Drone BI V2 camera that is lighter and smaller. It no longer has the giant PCB on the back. It's got the smaller PCB, which you can easily fit into a standard camera mount. And so that's what I'm going to do. But I always have a hard time getting these cameras out of this Newbie Drone canopy. I don't like this canopy. But yeah, I can never get the damn canopy out over the lens. Luckily, I don't like this camera canopy, so I don't have a problem cutting it off. But boy, it feels weird cutting this thing off. I'm afraid I'm going to break something, but we got it. Okay. Someone that loves this canopy just cried a little bit, guaranteed. Okay, so I need a... Oh, God. I'm sitting Indian style. I'm sitting cross-legged on the old chair here. Okay. So I need to raid my, I need to raid my, I need to get high on my own supply real quick. This is my bag of 3D printed stuff that, like, I keep in stock for Etsy orders. And yeah, where's my standard 25 or standard 15? Let's do 25. Let's do a 25-degree up tilt mount because it is a race rig. And these I tried running lower up tilt on these newbie drone races and it didn't feel right. It's got such a crazy power to rate ratio that, like, it would just rocket up into the ceiling. It makes sense for it to have more up tilt. And so that's what we're gonna do. Yeah, standard 25. There we go. This is where we confirm that this newbie drone camera really will work in here. Shit, I don't know which way is up on this camera, and as tempted as I am to just go for the 50-50, I am actually going to be an intelligent person and just plug it in real quick. And so there we go. Okay, we're gonna go here, and what do we got? Oh, this isn't gonna be on race 9 or race 8 rather. Farts. Where's the... Oh, right. This is... Oh, my God. The Hummingbird Race V2. I was like, where's the JST or the USB? It doesn't use those. It uses this little thing that drops into these pins. Pinholes. Through holes, rather. Oh, the lengths that racers go to save weight. Holy Christ. It drops into these little through holes on the board. You just drop it in there, and then it disconnects all the time. So hold on. Well, you know what? If I'm plugging this thing in, I'm going to show you how to do the full diff. So here you go. Ready? You take your existing rig that's set up exactly the way that you want. You plug it into USB, which on this setup involves doing this wacky little dongle dance here. You plug USB in. Oh my God. Ah! Ouch. Hold on. I don't want to plug this in right now that I have the dongle plugged in. There's voltage going to the pins, and I don't want to accidentally touch those pins somewhere that they don't belong. Okay, so there it goes. It's plugged in. Betaflight, you gonna actually launch this time, or hey? Come in here. So this is the build that's perfect, and I just want to duplicate it. I come into the CLI. I type DIFF space ALL. Diff all. Hit enter. All what? Bueller? Okay, something ain't working. Let's try it again. What? Ah. It's not, the little dongle is not making good contact. Hold on. The dongle, oh wait, no, I bet you this thing is on 2015. If you Google search Betaflight configurator, it'll bring you over to app.betaflight. Select your device. Let's just try click and connect and see what happens. Okay, no, I think it's a dongle issue. Hold on. Yeah, that. Okay, there it goes. Now it's flashing. All right, so connect. Nope. Great. Things are going well. Select your device. USB device. Nope. It's not connecting. All right, hold on. I guess I have to hold the little dongle thing to the side a little bit. Let's try holding it to the other side. There it is. Nope, that ain't it. What the hell's going on here? Okay. Let's try this again. Come on. Okay. Okay, if I hold this just right. Why is it virtual though? I don't want virtual COM port. Is that? No, we're good. We're good. Okay. I gotta just hold the quad like at an angle for it to maintain contact. Diff all. There we go. And this is everything. So then you come in here, you highlight it all, copy it to the clipboard, and now you've got everything that's different from stock. And so now I can take the new one and drop this little thing in, hold it at an angle so it stays connected. USB, that, connect. Here it is. It's on 4.5.1, CLI, paste, and that's it. That transferred everything over, other than that will not have transferred over like your binding phrase. And so I'm still going to have to do that, but PID tune is here. PID tune is not here. Expert mode. Right. There we go. PID tune is here. Everything is good to go. Just need to get that binding phrase in there. Let me do that. I'll do that in another way. I'll do that with the. I'll just plug it and unplug it 3 times to get it bound up. In theory. Okay, so all of that to get it onto channel 8. Race 8. Let's see if that worked. That should have worked. That should have pulled that in from the VTX settings. Oh, really? Why would that not? You fucker. Okay. I'm just going to turn my goggles on and scan the channels. It's probably going to be on race 1, but it's way harder for me to scan the channels on the video receiver that's hooked up to the computer. So hold on. You're just going to have to wait a second. Oh no, it is on race 8. Where's the video? Oh, there it is. Okay, so that did work. All right, so what's up on this camera? Okay, so that's upside down. All right, so those guys exit from the bottom. Got it. That's all I need to know. Cool. So the wires exit from the bottom. Let me get this unplugged real quick here, and we can work that out. Oh, this is fighting me. Come up off there. There we go. Okay, so the wires need to come out of the bottom. That means I'm going to put it in here like this. All right. Good. So yeah, this camera is a little bit small in here, but it should be completely fine. The only pain in the ass might be if the camera gets rotated. And so I'm just going to use the little 5X loop to take a quick look. And nope, that looks perfect in there. Yeah, technically there should be another new size of BriBrain camera mount. I doubt you'll be able to see that, but It is... Nah, it ain't gonna work. It is a little bit too small for this standard Bri-Brain mount, but it will work. There's really no reason for the camera to want to rotate in there, so this should be absolutely fine. But yeah, the Bri-Brain folks, maybe they'll make us a different cam mount one of these days for this one. That would be pretty cool, because it could save a little bit of weight too. That is if anybody's actually using this camera, right? Because those are all the racers. Okay, 844. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Get in there. God, these stupid ass JST 0.8 plugs are the bane of my existence. They are just too small. Too small. Jesus. Come on, get in there. The UFL is also in the perfectly wrong spot. I might have to unplug. I'm gonna have to unplug the. Yeah, I am. I'm gonna have to unplug the video antenna just to get this camera plugged in. That's annoying. Jesus. It's all so small. I can't do anything here. My fingers are too big. Get in there. Oh my God! Why? When Beta FPV started using this plug, I was immediately frustrated because it was like, well, at least we only have to deal with this on newbie drone stuff, and now we got to deal with it on Beta stuff as well. But I mean, it is lighter weight. I get it. It's an okay plug, I guess. I don't know. I have problems with it backing out, which is an easy fix. You just put one little dot of E6000 on top of it. But still, I don't know. It just sucks to have to work with it. All right, there we go. Let's get this standard 25-degree up tilt Bri-Brain mount dropped on here. And these camera wires are just barely long enough. Jesus. Okay. Yeah, see, this is what I was talking about with like trying to do this all at once. Got it on the second shot. That wasn't too bad. Right. Left side. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Hey, there it goes. Get in there. I hate doing this all on. I really prefer to get these screws started off the quad. Yeah, there it is, though. All right, last one on the canopy, and then we just got to put the rear one in. We'll be golden. Oh my God, you bastard. Fuck you! There we go. I just pushed really hard to get it started there. Okay. Got it. All right, canopy is on. We are at 25 degrees up tilt. And sometimes one or two things won't come over in that diff all. I'll be interested to see if this thing just magically flies, but first I got to get bound up. I think Newbie Drone set it up where you can just plug it and unplug it 3 times. We're about to find out. Let's see. Just bending this video antenna up a little bit to keep it out of the motors and props. Okay, so don't need the nerd goggles anymore. Let's get transmitter ready. All right, plugging it in once, twice, 3 times. Going into Express LRS, bind mode, send bind request, binding. Come on, buddy. Be bound. It's bound. And the motors are even spinning. Wowee! They were spinning in a weird direction, and they were like jiggling back and forth, though. So I gotta deal with that. What's going on with this one motor? Why is this visibly sideways? What's happening here? One motor is sitting visibly crooked. What's that about? Is that the frame? What? Why is it sitting like that? Is the stator bent? What's happening here? Hold on. Or are these screws just not tight? Screws are tight. Motor number 3 is like visibly crooked. What's the deal, buddy? Why are you crooked like that? I guess it's just the frame. That's funny. I took a frame off of this that was warped, and now this frame is warped. Okay, let's get a set of props on here and see if the damn thing flies. So, my favorite Tiny Whoop propellers are the HQ 1.2 by 0.9 by 3 when it comes to 1mm shaft motors, which these are. And so we're going to get a left, a right, and a right. Oh man, we're going purple and red on this. This is going to look like my old school logo. All right, here we go. Yuke says, all my VI V2 came with the mini TPU holders that I use to make it fit the B-brain mount. They also give it screw holes for other canopies. Fit the B-brain mount. What does that mean? Do you mean you take the mount, the canopy that it comes with, and cut it all up? That's what I feel like you're saying. Uriel says, more than 6 batteries, then learning curve goes down again. I'm flying a lot of sim, and there's a moment you get tired. Yeah, T-Dog is famous for flying 100 batteries a day, he says. And that's never really made a lot of sense to me, because that feels like too much. But he's like 17 years old, and so, you know, different strokes for different amounts of neuroplasticity. So it could just be that. I am passing all of these propellers down one of my 0.99mm drill bits so that I don't destroy these motors, putting the propellers on or taking the propellers off. It's just this simple. Put it down the drill bit, pull it back off. If it still feels a little bit too tight, do it again. When you twist the drill bit, it doesn't take as much material. If you hold the drill bit firm and just pull the prop straight off, sometimes you got to wiggle it a little bit. That's what takes the most material off. So if the prop is still fitting too tight, that's what you want to do. One more time, because I can still feel that it's sitting on there too tight. This is feeling better now. Each time you do it, you take off a little bit more material. Go figure. This one's already been drilled out. First one, you'll develop a feel for it. You'll push the propeller down the drill bit, and you'll be like, nope, that's too tight. And then pull it off of there, and it'll be a little bit more loose the next time. There we go. Yeah, that's about right. Okay, that should be good. Hopefully it remembered props in. I've also not put this through ESC configurator. I will, but I'm just going to try to fly it right now. It might be on 96K, though, so it might fly like absolute ass. We'll see. Yeah, this frame is a little warped. Hold on, let me just bend it out. Good to go. Let's see if it flies. I did like 0 setup. Kind of cool. Let's see what happens here. Here's a Weebleed 340 mAh battery. Oh, see, this is what I hate the most about this Air 65 V2 frame. The batteries don't fit right in the battery tray. The battery tray is too tight. Super annoying. Will it fly? Both left side motors aren't turning. Not good. Not a good sign. Okay. Oh, hey. Well, they're going the wrong way, but they are spinning finally. Frame is all bent out of shape. What the hell's going on here? If you have a frame that's all bent out of shape like that, boil up a pot of water. And drop it in there. It will straighten it right out. Okay, so the motors are spinning the wrong direction, which is super annoying because now I have to try to get this little dongle to sit on here and not disconnect. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't know how I'm going to do this. Because the dongle is going to be touching this propeller. This is insanity. Okay, so maybe if I hold it just right, like that. This is pretty silly. Motors, props in, that's correct. Motor direction, I understand the risks. Wizard, start and spin. Oh, fuck. Well, wait, they're all going the wrong direction, so maybe I can just do that. Nah, I have to plug a battery in. It's not firing up the ESC, and it needs to make those changes on the ESC. Okay, so I'm going to do that again. All right, well, now the ESC is powered up. In theory, I can just do this. And I think that will have worked. Let's test it real quick here. Oh man, something weird's going on. Nope. Nope. Motor 1 is correct. The rest of them are wrong, though. Let's try it one more time, I guess. Wizard, start and spin. Okay. Motor 3 is wrong. Oh my god. Motor 4 is wrong. Motor 1 is right. Motor 2 is correct as well, so it's just 3 and 4. But I don't think... Oh, no, there it goes. Okay, that's it. Stop motors, close. That should have saved. Why is D-Shot 600 on? No. Motor idle's kind of high, but... Oh, no. I think I moved it too much and it lost connection on the little dongle. It's hung up. God damn. No. Maybe it worked. Hold on. Let's just see. Maybe it saved it just right. Maybe it'll fly with... I doubt that it saved that D-Shot 600 to 300 change, but I mean, maybe it'll fly. Let's see. Hey! Oh boy. Nope. It ain't right. Well, let's just... The idle is way too high. Way too high. Man, why did I not run into this many problems with this stupid dongle situation on the Race V2 that showed up? I don't remember it being this much of a pain in the ass. Ooh, don't hit the wrong thing. Okay. All right. Let's get into ESC configurator while we're doing it the right way. Select serial port. AT32. I don't know why that port is called AT32. Usually it's called... Oh, it's on 48K. Great. Usually it's called something different. Usually it's called Betaflight. Turn this up a little bit. Just to make the beeper a little bit louder. And so we're going to write settings. We're also going to write that motor timing change. They had it on high. I like it on medium. Normal, reversed, 19, 48K. I'm going to flash all the ESCs to 0.21, 48. While this little dongle seems to be maintaining proper connection, I'm going to do as much as I possibly can here. Uriel says, are you telling me I am old? We're old. Yuke says, no, it's a tiny TPU piece that goes over the PCB to make it bigger size the older mounts use. That's cool. Where'd you get that? All my BIV2 came with mini TPU holders. No shit. I don't think this one did. I don't know where the box went, but yeah, I'm pretty sure this one didn't. Interesting. Good for Newbie Drone for doing that. That's great. All right, almost there. No. Don't hang up. Don't hang up. This can brick the damn thing. No. Keep going, you bastard. Just gonna move it a little bit. Maybe it'll regain connection. No. Oh, the transmitter's on. That's the problem. User error. I know better. All right, come on back to me. Come on back. Finish. Keep going. Come on, please. Oh, no. It's so sketchy to have to do this. I hate having to do this. Oh, God. Oh, no. I hate it. Oh, God. Now it won't connect. Come on, please. Oh, shit. All right, I gotta unplug it and plug it back in. Oh, the battery came unplugged. That's what happened. How did it even... That's weird. That it was able to do anything. Oh, God. What is happening? It just refuses to connect. Not usually a great sign, but hopefully we're okay. All right, hold on. I'm gonna deal with this again. This is too much. Like, I'm willing to put up with a little bit of bullshit on Tiny Whoops, but this is way too much. This is too much bullshit. This little dropping the dongle into through holes is not good. Not worth it. Oh my God. There we go. All right, let's try again. Yeah. Come on, buddy. Come on. You can do it. Don't be bricked. Flash all. 0.21, 48. Flash. Come on. Make it all the way through. Oh, God. All this stuff is question marks on the left. Oh, no. This is bad. Oh no! Don't. Don't. Please no. Transmitter's off. Oh no. I'm pretty sure it's bricked. This is what happened with the beta FPV board that they sent me. This is very, very, very similar. Oh, come on now. Shit. Fucker. I just, like, touched the stupid dongle bastard. And it disconnected again. Shit. Oh, man. Hold on. This is absurd. This is too much. I mean, they do say all over the website, like, the Hummingbird race is hardcore, only for pilots who can completely forego everything and just want every last little bit of performance. All right, let's try this again. This is the last try. If it doesn't, it's already after 9. If this doesn't work, I mean, to be honest, if this doesn't work, it's bricked. But fuck. No. 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 Philip with a $20 super chat. He says for another ESC. Thank you, dude. Oh man. Try it one more time. All right, I'm gonna keep upwards pressure on the dongle. That worked. That's what I had to do that first time to get it to stay connected to Betaflight. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, okay. Now I have to get this battery plugged in, though. Fuck! Oh, it just made a really weird noise when I plugged that battery in. That's not usually a great sign. Oh, fuck you. Come on. So the problem is I have to get this dongle hooked up, dropping these pins through the through holes, and then I have to maintain connection, which means that I have to use my hand to hold the connector upwards, and then I also have to then plug the battery in. I can't plug the battery in ahead of time. So I guess maybe if I push the connector against the desk, I can take 2 fingers to hold the battery. Maybe that'll... Come on. That's it. That's it. I think that's it. Come on, come on, come on. Oh, shit. Those just fell on the ground. The lenses popped out. Go, go, go. Go, 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 go. Oh, shit. This is bad. Oh, this is bad. Oh, Jesus. I shouldn't have fucked with it. All right, hold on. I'm just going to hold it. I'm just going to stay really still. It's going to stay real still. Fuck. Oh, wait, no, that's good. That's good. That's good. This popped back up now. I have the common parameters again. right, come on, don't breathe. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Don't you stop at the end. Don't you dare. No, no, no. No. Oh, God, no. No. This is absurd. Are you for real? Hang on, the fucking lenses fell out of this thing. One more try. Just one more try. I'm going to try going back to 0.19. I don't like Blue Jay 0.19. But there was a weird message about 0.21 not supported just now. And so let's just see what happens here. All right, keep downward pressure on the USB port. Hold the battery, get that there. Keep that downward pressure. Okay, connect. Come on, bitch. Come on. No. This is the bullshit of all bullshits. No. One more try. One more try. It's like I gotta get it plugged in clean, but I gotta get it. Oh, God. Okay. All right. Keep more pressure there. And take the battery. And I can't disturb the board. Getting the battery plugged in. I think I might have gotten it that time. I think I got it. 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 Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Port. Yes. Yeah. Flash all. Blue Jay. 0.19. 48. Go, go, go. Please. Please work. Nope. Well, okay. That is the FPV experience. Nothing works ever. That sucks. Don't update stuff. Just fly stuff. Don't update stuff. Unbelievable. Fly 6 batteries and don't update stuff. Just fly it. Thanks for hanging. I'll see you guys on Sunday. Unbelievable. Here's that, I don't know. Here's something. Here's the Caillou Mini. Be good, friends. I'll see you Sunday. Motherfucker.
Yeah. Out in the yard where the grass grows wild, CiottiFPV's goggles locked, grinning like a child. Teddy spaghetti's, fur flies, and jet wash dreams. Yeah. Chasing small whoops like a dog possessed fiend. Eyes on a neon blur, hard in the chase. Big fuzz and prop spin, all tangled in place. Yeah. Four-legged rebel with a rotor stir tail in the circus of the sky. They never fail.
Shotties on sticks, Teddy's on paws. Side by side, legends breaking all the laws. Through the kitchen, over couch, scale terrain. Backyard mayhem in their flight domain. No ground too sacred, no loop too tight. Fuzz, fuel, fury ignites the night. When pilot and pup lock eyes on the prize, every whoop they conquer is a fresh cut surprise. Yeah. Yo, Shotty behind the sticks, Teddy's leading the pack. Prop guard missiles unleashed, never looking back. No leash, no map, just freestyle Mike. They on the dog drone streets every day and night. Said whoops, hitting low, gotta nail the dive, Teddy. Push throttle up, feel the beast come alive. I see the neon arc, got the sticks locked in, Teddy. Yeah, let's rip this loop, ride the roar of the wind, Teddy. Yep. Yeah, CiottiFPV, Teddy's spaghetti, diamond and duo kings, barking at the breeze, throttling at top speed, zooming through hoops, flipping in style. That schnauzer's got throttle and a toothy smile. Teddy's spaghetti. Barking at the breeze, falling at top speed things, zooming through hoops, flipping in style. That schnauzer's got throttle and a toothy smile. Yeah, when you hear that bar cut the rotor hum, you know Ciotti and Teddy's mission's just begun. FPVs, fur-faced legends, legends sing it loud. Yeah, Teddy spaghetti and CiottiFPV always proud.